Welcome back to the Musleteers Podcast. Today by myself, Anderson.
Sayan.
And Jose.
And we have a lot to talk to you about. There's
we
something I have to say now. It's part of the intro. As you can see, we're not in our usual setup. We are currently in Milan visiting our dear colleague, Sayan. And so the other day, 2 days ago, we were watching a video of this woman. What was her name? Itchy Boots.
Who?
And
that's good.
She was finally. She does a challenge where she crosses Africa, just riding her motorbike.
It's not necessarily a challenge. She just decided to cross Africa.
Yeah, not a challenge, but it's a challenge.
Okay.
And she what? She was going through Angola.
I think she entered through Nigeria or something like that, and she's just going down Africa. And I started watching it because she said she would go to Angola, and I was just waiting for that. And she's finally there. And we were commenting the other day that it's super cool to see somebody else's perspective of the continent and of the different countries in it.
How long has she been doing it for?
I think about
like
2 months or 1 month. No, but I mean, just this one trip, I think a month or 2 months.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really cool. I don't think we have showed it to you.
No, I haven't seen it.
But for you, what do you think about it? Like, how do you see it?
I thought it was really cool, seeing, because after I was introduced with the Angolan videos, when she started going through Angola, but after I started watching the other ones, where she was going through, not DRC, when she was in Congo, for example, and it was rough, dead ass, dirt, not even dirt roads. It was muddy. She fell off her bike. She had to sleep with locals because she just couldn't get to her. Yeah, it was really bad. And no, it was interesting then to see, because we always think about Angola and how it could be better developed and stuff like that. But when she reached Angola, it was actually
a break from all
even
of that,
she was she was happy to be in Angola because it was pretty developed. So that was good to see. But what I was gonna mention was the debate that we had. When she was trying to get oil just to fill up her bike.
Bro, wait a second. Just the randomest debate ever. We were watching the video. I wanted to show them the video. She starts putting gas in her bike. And these two, they start debating on whether companies are evil or not. I was like, what the hell? It's just a video. But yeah, go ahead.
You called it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was going to fill up her motorbike. And after our dear producer starts just criticizing the company that she was going for the gas, and she started criticizing essentially all gas companies in the oil industry, and it led to the debate, which was sustainability and all of that. Are companies actually trying to become sustainable, or is it more just of kind of this greenwashing? And that was the actual debate. She was saying that all these companies, participate in greenwashing, and we were talking about the oil industry, and I was saying that for example, one of the biggest companies in the industry, they are, even though yes, of course their activities produce a lot, but they are also some of the ones that invest the most into sustainable projects and sustainable energy and stuff like that. And I feel like us as consumers, we heavily criticize these companies but never actually do anything to help them. And I was saying this because I've seen people and friends who are in engineering schools and stuff like that who don't want to work at all for these companies because they believe that they're greenwashing and stuff like that. But these companies are begging for engineering students who are now trained for sustainability to join them so they can actually have an impact. So it feels like us as a society, we're not. I feel like it's much easier to criticize than to actually help these companies do reach their goals.
Go on.
Go ahead. Thing is, I feel like it's a lack of trust from our part as well, because we know that at the end of the day, these companies, all they have in mind is money and making money, and they'll do whatever they can to make the money, right? And we've seen that in the past when it benefited them to not care at all about the environment. That's, they pretended that what they did didn't impact it at all. And nowadays, now that the trends are more towards sustainable development. They're gonna start preaching about sustainable development, and now people are gonna feel bad, like that we're not trying to contribute to them, making that transition. But it's because we've seen that in the past, they don't really care about that. They're just doing what they can to make money in the future, which is in that direction.
All right, so I found on the company's website that they're going to allocate 13 to 15 billion a year from 2022 to 2025 for renewable energy. But it's kind of blurry because they say that 50% of those 15 billion are going to go to reinvest in their already existing activities, and 50% on I'm sorry, I'm not sure about what the other 50% are, but they're saying that only 50% of the growth of these investments are going to go to renewable energy. Yeah. And I feel like that's blurry,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into numbers and stuff because then it gets complicated and we would need to do more research. But I think it brings up the issue of standardization because a lot of these companies with sustainability, we have absolutely nothing to compare it to, and that's the bigger problem. And after this is also part of the debate in like we were saying that many companies have lobbies in government when it's things that interest them, but for sustainability, so far hasn't really been the case. And so again, with the issue of standardization, this is like one of the points that we were really debating about was that I was saying that it'll never be like you were saying. Companies always want to make money; it's for profit. But a business is to make profit. And so it's not like their incentive is not, I don't want to say that it's not being good, but it's money. And so it's the government, it goes back to the government, and it's their responsibility to control the private sector and set standards. So it's like, I don't understand why people put pressure on private companies and why they don't put as much on government.
But it's also what we were saying, that today in this capitalistic world, it's not necessarily the government that has power. A lot of times, private companies have more power than governments because they have a lot of money. And because of lobbies, they just control in a way. They have a lot of influence. I'm not going to say control, but they have a lot of influence over the rules that are applied and that are not applied. And so it's normal that there's a distrust in the public towards those companies. I think the example that you were saying is like that the company wants to hire engineers, renewable energy engineers, in order to make their company more sustainable. But a lot of engineers deny it and don't want to work for them because of their reputation, which I get,
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like so many people hold themselves in these high morals and stuff, but after in their day-to-day life, like, they don't actually do anything sustainable. They still probably drive a car, they take a plane, everything in their house is probably not sustainable at all. And so it's like it's easy to speak and just criticize, but after in your actions, what are you doing to say, oh yeah, I'm sustainable in what I do, and I actually not only do I preach these values, but I actually follow them, And that's what I don't like, because then like your actions don't actually follow your thoughts on the subject,
I get what you're saying, but like you can't compare a single person's impact on the environment or on sustainable development to that of a company.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the day, what I'm doing at home, like driving my car, isn't what's causing, global warming on a larger scale.
Yeah. Go on. I get that.
So yeah, I just feel like it's kind of a complicated subject, but I can understand the skepticism towards the companies,
Yeah.
And not only that, like, people, you have to think that we are selfish. Like, humans are selfish. And so if you go to the groceries, imagine us as students, and I see something cheaper, I'm probably going to take that cheaper thing, even though it's less sustainable.
Yeah.
And so it's up to companies, and what you were saying, a standardized system, so we can see like what these companies are doing, and so we can compare them and actually know without having to make a lot of research.
Yeah.
Because that would allow people to realize what the companies are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I was talking about how as a student it's easier to get cheaper food, even like without taking into account whether the company is sustainable or not. And it's the same case for clothes and with the fashion industry. Today, because of like companies like Zara, H&M, everything that's fast fashion, it pollutes immensely. But people that don't necessarily have the means for it obviously will opt to buy in those brands. I just think it's not fair to put it on the people because of that. There's more that goes into it than just whether you want to help or not. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call it being a hypocrite if a person said something and their actions showed something else when it comes to this.
No, but even that, like, we had this discussion at the beginning of the year, like, thrift shopping, like, they're secondhand where you can get stuff, like, maybe at a better price and better quality than some of these fast fashion brands. And it's a conscious choice. There are ways around it and you can still save money. So that excuse of, oh, yeah, it's cheaper and all of that, sure, okay, it can be cheap, but there are alternatives that are as cheap.
I'm not sure how cheap thrift shopping is. I actually don't know. But is it cheaper than like, I don't know, what's the story where it is?
It can be very cheap. If you find good spots.
Yeah. And especially now it's becoming more popular because you want to keep the life cycle of products longer. So more and more shops are actually being created, even online.
Yeah, then there's no excuse. But está me falar isso, não era para falar isso, porras! I don't know what to say about that.
No, thrift shopping is, so that's a good point. Like, is it about making the conscious decision? Like, not everyone is willing to thrift shop, right?
Because the whole argument is not putting it on people, but he is right. If they're thrift shopping,
no,
like...
I'm saying that, like, we both have to take accountability. I know that as a consumer, I could be probably making more sustainable choices, and I know that companies also have to be more responsible and also become more sustainable.
This episode is going to be uncut. I don't care. Yeah. But,
Because, listen, what about these... Okay, look at a companies, right? It's cheaper for companies, and this is proven, to produce things that take less time to produce, that are cheaper to produce, and that they knowingly like market, they market knowing that it's going to like end up in a wasteland like so quickly. Like Zara's t-shirts, they're not quality. They've lost quality over years because it's almost, I question, and this is something that you can bring up, is it intentional on their part to make these things cheaper and like decrease the quality of garments because they know that people will go back and shop again? Is it their job to maybe increase their pricing slightly? I'm not talking about like increasing a 10 euro t-shirt to like 30.
But Zara is expensive. It's become expensive.
Like the price
So that's another good point. The marketing of Zara is to say it's differentiated from H&M. They try to differentiate themselves from H&M by making a point around how they're higher end, right? But if you actually compare the quality of their garments, it's pretty trash. The quality of their garments is not good. So they're increasing pricing, but the quality has gone down. So see, there's a dissonance, right? Like, because you have companies like H&M who are talking about sustainability, but they're not increasing the quality of their clothing. Therefore, a roupa estraga-se rápido, and so you're forced to buy.
But after, there's also consumer behavior. There are people that will literally buy a t-shirt. They'll only wear it like twice because they have a cute party, and after it'll stay in their closet for 2 years.
I think
that's a lot of our generation, especially Gen Z, and that is a problem. It's consumer behavior.
I mean, it can be consumer behavior. I'm not disagreeing on that point. There's a culture of consumerism, which is like promoted by companies.
But
that is true. No, that is true.
No, I know that it's promoted by companies, but there are things that that companies have promoted, and it doesn't work because we just as a society won't accept it. Why do we let ourselves be influenced so easily by companies?
Why do you think every time you walk into a Zara, the store display is different, even if the product is the same? To trick you into believing that they have new product. I mean, they constantly have new product, but if you go to a Zara the same week, like twice or in the same week, the layout is not going to be the same. And I can assure you that the product does not rotate that quickly.
But then it goes back to the topic of like companies, grandagolo. Companies don't, like, they're not responsible for that. only goal, and we study
what I'm
that
saying.
their
No,
only
no, no,
purpose
I'm
is
saying
to
that
make
not
money, to be
I'm talking
profitable.
about the dissonance between the sustainability goals versus
But I
Like
mean,
their actions.
their actions and like the quality of the product. Because if they're advertising that like they want to be sustainable, then their clothing should be better quality so that it lasts longer.
Is Zara
And then-
saying they want to be sustainable?
I wouldn't use Zara's example, but H&M,
yeah.
H&M, that's their entire
H&M,
marketing.
yeah. They even go 100% cotton renewable.
Yeah, they have those new tags and shit.
Yeah.
They've had like marketing campaigns around it. It's
For me, I just want to say, don't be hypocrites. Like,
I was gonna say that both parties need to take responsibility.
yeah.
Because people, people need to, like, I do often criticize these companies, but at the same time, it's not as easy to make these choices that will actually contribute to a better, future. Like going thrift shopping, a lot of people don't like the idea of using used clothes in general, and it might be seen in a bad way by other people.
But nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows. But
there's
at the
only
same
a
time-
finite amount. Sorry to cut you off, but like there's only a finite amount of garments available through thrifting, right? So then comes the question: if everyone decided to thrift, would you have enough supply?
I think the most important point here is just like there's power in people.
Maybe that's not the point. I'm just
No, I know, but what I'm saying is if everybody decided, but then it comes back to people are selfish, but if everybody decided to go against these companies in a way, not go against them, but just like immensely reduce how much you buy, how much, I don't know, how much you spend on these brands, they would be forced to make a difference or to change.
I think it's also, I think the most interesting conversation was actually that we had through that debate was more the idealism and the realistic approach. I feel like a lot of people have this ideal of what the world should be, and that we want all these companies to do things because they wholeheartedly want to be good for the world and na. But it's not that. Like, be realistic. You know that a business wants to make profit, and so how do they get that? It might be by marketing or manipulating their audience, whatever. But if then you can show that they can make more money by being sustainable, they'll directly change to being more sustainable. Yes, they can.
They can.
And the thing is, like, the trend will be if more companies start becoming more sustainable operations will also decrease in price and will become just the same as probably unsustainable solutions, if not even
The
more
difficult
accessible.
part is the transition towards sustainability. That's what costs them a lot. But then once they're sustainable, like if you just look at the actual definition of sustainable development, it means increasing your efficiency. It means decreasing your waste, all of that. So it inherently means that they'll be it's better for them as well in the long term.
Even simply a company's headquarters, if their headquarters become sustainable and everybody starts turning off the lights, using less electricity and stuff like that, they will pay less in their electricity bill and they'll spend less. So
sustainability needs to trickle down through the entire company,
Yeah.
as opposed to being someone closed off in a small office taking care of decisions. No, everyone needs to have their part in making a company sustainable.
yeah.
The CEO needs to have his goals at his level. The COO needs to have his own. It can't be like companies have chief sustainability officers or chief corporate social responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that. That role shouldn't even exist. Everyone, the chief.
No, actually, there could be somebody who
there could be
who
someone
makes
who
sure,
right.
make sure that everyone is being sustainable. But yeah, it should be everyone's goal. Not everyone's goal. It should be everyone's duty.
Within
to be sustainable.
each role, there should be a portion of that dedicated to sustainability. These are the same way you have KPIs for your performance. These are your sustainability KPIs, and we need to your performance is going to be examined based on not only your
Profit.
KPIs, but also your sustainability, whether you've achieved these goals or not.
That's what we see. More and more companies are introducing the three bottom lines. Profit, people, and sustainability. It might be harder, but it is possible.
What is daunting for companies is exactly what Jose said. It's cost.
change,
The initial cost is
Very
steep, very steep.
But a lot of these companies have the capital.
to change.
Yeah, of course. It's just like I said, they don't want to waste their money for nothing.
First of all, it's like shareholders are like skeptical, right? Because so then
You need to please your holders. So
if shareholders are skeptical, then your market capitalization goes down because they don't know if it's going to work or not, right? And so that's a problem because you need money like from the actual capital markets to reinvest in your company. Your profits might go down initially because your costs will increase, but then over time there are studies that prove that once you're able to like decrease your cost curve, your profits go up.
Yeah. But yeah, all that's to say is that, it's not only up to one of the two, to work on themselves. The people on an individual level have to get over, have to stop just talking and actually take action.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people might be ashamed of wearing, things that they get at thrift shops or whatever, but, nobody even knows and nobody cares, to be honest. And, companies also have to make a deliberate effort and, try to actually convince people that they're not only doing it for themselves.
Yeah, don't greenwash.
Yeah.
What else? Also, something that she said that was interesting, the B Corporation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like basically, it's a company that will now like label like a product that is like fully sustainable.
Do you have the bottle? I think you showed him yesterday, no?
Yeah, it's on Evian.
That's alright.
Yeah,
You can show them.
it's on the back.
It's on the back.
We'll try to find an image and put it on the video, but
It's here, like B Corporation.
it pretty much classifies companies from A to Z, right? That's it.
They have their own, so you can compare it to fair trade. Although fair trade is slightly problematic, but it's like a similar thing as fair trade. Companies apply to get their certification. They have their criteria. So you'd have to go. So what you can do for the episode, you can go on the website and show B Corporation's criteria for like certifying company, but it's around sustainability.
But yeah, so companies need to apply basically to have this certification, and it just if they meet all the criteria, they get the labeling saying that they are it's a sustainable product. And it was interesting, like in the food industry in France, for example, you have a Nutri score. So meaning like if the product you're actually eating has the proper nutrients and stuff like that, if it's good for you, basically, if it's healthy.
Not even.
There's a lot of labels like that in France.
Yeah, exactly. It's A to E, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's A to E. And so we thought that it would be interesting to have the same label, but for how sustainable it is. So on every product, every service, there would need to be like a score from like 1 to 5 to prove how sustainable it is. And I feel like then if it's more visible, companies will have to act and change because it will directly impact consumer behavior.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's cool.
Next subject.